Don't let the stocking stuffers get away from you, friends. I have got this adorable and super easy little treat box. It'll hold my favorite, the Little Debbie's, but it holds many other things too. I can't wait to share these simple yet fun little stocking stuffer boxes. Hello, my friends. Welcome. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I'm thrilled you're here joining me for today's Tuesday tip video because our big tip today is we're not going to let those stocking stuffers get away from us. It's kind of like the last thing on our list, right? So I have got these fantastic little boxes. They're very simple to make. They come together quickly. I've got two to share with you. So we're going to jump in and let me share what you need to know about your measurements. I always love to share a free download with you. I love for you to be able to just enjoy the video without writing down all those measurements. Here's where you'll have everything. You're going to have all the supplies I used. You'll have the measurements, cutting and scoring, photos, of course. And if you follow this QR code or click right here, it's going to bring you right back to YouTube. So if you need a quick refresher, you'll have that as well. And if you are in the United States, friends, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can order any of the supplies I used on my projects right here. You can click the graphic, follow the link either way. It's going to take you to my online store and you can order what you need. Your orders mean the world to me, so thank you so much. All right, with that, we're ready to jump in with our first box. We're going to begin with a piece of basic white thick. Now, guys, these little boxes use a 12-inch piece of cardstock. So this is the 12 by 12 thick, and I have it cut down 12 inches by 5 1/4. Let's do some scoring. The first scoring we're going to do is 1 1/4 on all four sides. So I want to make sure that my cutting blade is out of the way so I can score 1 1/4 inch at the top and on the sides, 1 1/4 on all sides. Now, with the 12 inches up at the top, we're going to do our center scoring. And that is going to be at 5 3/8. And friends, 5 3/8 is in between 5 1/2 and 5 1/4. So just line up in between there, 5 3/8 and 6 5/8. And 6 5/8 is in between 7 3/4. 6 3/4 and 6 1/2. So right in between there is going to get us our 6 5/8. All right, we are all scored. We got a little cutting to do. I know it's a little hard to see on this white cardstock, but I am going to cut. You're going to notice there's 3 squares right in the down each side. All right, and we're just cutting right along that score line. All right, so you should have something like that. Let's repeat that here on the other side. Now that we have those cut, we're going to take each one of these and we're going to do what I like to call mitering. So I'm going to cut from the inside of each square to the outside corner. Now, when you're cutting these, friends, you should only be cutting on a square. These panels here, that's part of your box. So there's no cutting on that. These are just the little tabs that will create our box. So we're going to do this to all 6 of our squares. You're going to have something that looks like this. It's time to burnish all of the score lines. So I'm just going to bring in my bone folder. We're going to burnish all of the score lines down, and I want to fold everything to the inside. So you might be starting to see how the box is going to come together. We need to create a little thumb opening, all right? We don't want people to struggle to open that box, so we're going to cut out a little notch. So just on one side, I'm going to use my 1 3/4 inch punch. If you didn't have a circle punch, you could use a die. It doesn't matter, but we're just going to cut we're just punching just a little notch. All right. So not a full half circle, just something like that. Now that says that is the front of my box. I'm going to do something here on this first score line. I want this one because it's now the lid, right? that where that circle punch is the lid. So I want it to be really nice and flexible. So I kind of did a little back and forth there with my bone folder. All right. So these 4 tabs will create our box. These 2 tabs will now create our lid. Now, to put these together, what's your favorite method? Are you a tear and tape crafter? Are you a multi-purpose glue? You do you, boo. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to use some tear and tape because I tend to be a little messy when it comes to multi-purpose glue. But you can see I'm just adding the tear and tape right there, only on the tabs. And I kind of want it right up against the score line so that I get a really nice looking box. I like that. Now, before I remove the tear and tape, I'm going to do something. I'm going to add just a little dot of Stampin' Seal. Stampin' Seal Plus would work. If you were using your multi-purpose glue, you could just put it all over the tabs. But the issue is up here, this is where gravity is going to work against me. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to remove my backings here. So I'm going to start here with the lid. And when I put these together, so I'm going to fold that under and I'm going to bring the side right next to it. So gravity is working against me here. That's why it was really important that we use tear and tape or multi-purpose glue right here on those edges. Now here, where I added just the Stampin' Seal. Well, gravity's not working against me there. So I'm all right. Lid, right? Lid, because we have our little notch punch. Now we can remove the tear and tape from the 4 tabs that are going to create our box. Remember, these don't adhere to the lid. They are going to adhere to the box. So we will add these tabs right here. And friend, that is how you create the box. I mean, it really is that easy. Okay, let's do a little decorating and then we'll talk about how we're going to fill the box. I have a piece of shaded spruce, 2 1/4 by 4. And I wanted to give this a little texture. I'm going to use the brand new beautiful pattern. We're going to place that in our embossing folder. Let's run this through our die cut and emboss machine. Base plate 1. You want the seam of your embossing folder going into the machine. We'll top that with embossing plate 4. Run this through. It's going to add great texture to our project. I've added just some Stampin' Seal to the back of that. We will add that to our lid. Now let's do a little stamping. I thought the homemade treats bundle was perfect for this because we're going to be adding a little Debbie. So we are going to use the bundles. I'm going to use the little icing. I just thought it was so cute. I'll be using cherry cobbler and shaded spruce. Let me go ahead and start with my cherry cobbler and the adorable little icing. I have 2 pieces of basic white. These are 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. So I will stamp 1 there. And now I'm going to bring in the shaded spruce and let's add our greeting. It's beginning to taste like Christmas. And we're going to stamp that right there. I've got a piece of cherry cobbler. This is a 3 by 2. I'm simply just going to add my greeting. Let's die cut our icing. Base plate 1, thin die adapter 2, cutting plate 3. And we will lay our die on that icing bag, top it with a plate 3. Let's run this through. And now we're ready to kind of put things together. So I am just going to put Stampin' Seal here across the center of my greeting. I'm going to add that to my lid. I'm going to kind of come in. I want to make sure I press that down really good. I'm going to add my icing piping bag with a Stampin' Dimensional. We'll add 1 at the top, 1 here in the middle. We'll add that right there. And now it's time for your Tuesday tip. I'm going to bring in the Real Red Shiny Ribbon. And my problem was it really did not look right with that cherry cobbler. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make myself just a quick bow, all right? Because I want to kind of figure out how much ribbon I'm going to need. So again, I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to, basically make myself a little bow. I will cut this a little bit longer because I want to be on the safe side. You notice I didn't pull it tight. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of scratch paper to have underneath me. And we're going to deepen this ribbon using the Stampin' Blends. So you see how it's real red right now? I've got the cherry cobbler. I think I've got the light. You can use whichever one you want. And you see, I'm just deepening it. And now look, it matches perfect. So I love kind of starting with the with the real red and adding the cherry cobbler. And by the way, it also kind of goes through the back. If you find you have any spots that need a little extra love, you can go in and add it, but it does really go through both layers really well. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to worry about the ends because I know I'll be trimming those down. It doesn't take long at all, but now I'm going to make my two, as my mama taught me. You make two bunny ears and you just tie those bunny ears together. And we have ourselves a pretty little bow. And remember what I said, this is why we didn't need to worry about the ends, because we are going to be trimming that down. I can use a mini glue dot there in the center of my bow. And there we go. All right, let's talk about what we can add to these fun little stocking stuffer boxes. As I said, I love Little Debbie. She and I, we're tight. We're like this, you guys. But here's the thing. Little Debbie likes to put a little air in her treats. So here's another Tuesday tip for you. Here at the bottom, I want you to cut just the tiniest little. What that will do, it's going to allow us to see we can push the air out, but we don't want our treat to get stale, right? So that's why we wanted to keep that really small. We'll open up our box. I mean, who doesn't love a Little Debbie Christmas tree? That looks fabulous. Let's see what else we can add. Little Debbie also has a brownie version, so that will fit. And 16 Hershey nuggets. I've got those just stacked on top of each other. Really, really cute. Who doesn't love a good Hershey nugget? But wait, there's more. Ghirardelli chocolates. I've got 8 of those. And friends, they fit just right. So you can fit 8 of those easily in your box. I think those are awfully yummy. What about shreds and a gift card? That's always a hit, right? And last but not least, my daughter's favorite, the Ferrero Rochers. 6 of those fit perfect in this box. All right, so you've learned how to create this one. I've got another fun version for you. Don't forget to grab the free download that goes along with today's video. Guys, this has everything you need so you can recreate the cards. Remember, you'll find the free download at simplysimplestamping.com or look down in the YouTube description. I've got a direct link to today's post. Let's create this fun little jar of joy. This says, wishing you the sweetest Christmas. Isn't that cute? This one is the one that I thought the Ferrero Rochers looked so beautiful with that pecan pie two-tone cardstock. So let's jump in. This box will be created much like the one that we just made before, so we'll go through it a little bit quicker. Pecan pie two-tone cardstock. So remember, that was 12 inches by 5 1/4. We will score, so make sure your cutting blade is out of the way, 1 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. With the 12 inches up at the top, we are going to score at 5 3/8 and 6 5/8. We're going to cut along the 6 squares that are on each side of our box. Now we do our mitering. So we're cutting on the square only from the inside to that outside corner, cutting off just that little bit. We're going to do that to all 6 tabs. Remember, we punch a little notch in what is going to be the lid. Now we can burnish all of our score lines. The one that has the notch cut in it, remember, we want to kind of give that a back and forth, so that our lid opens well. Time to bring in tear and tape, and we will put tear and tape up at the score line on all 6 tabs. Add a little bit of adhesive on the ends of each tab. I'll remove the backing tape from my lid first. bring those corners together. And now we'll remove the backing paper for our box. Remember, these 2 tabs in the center do not go on the lid. They need to go on the box. So make sure when you're putting it together, you are paying attention to the tabs that are in the center. We're going to use the Jar of Joy stamp set and the matching Sweet Jar Builder Punch. I have a piece of shaded spruce, 2.5 by 4. I'm going to add a piece of cherry cobbler, 2.25 by 3 3/4. We'll add that to the front of our box. I have 2 pieces of basic white. These are 2" by 3.5". And so let's bring in our greeting, wishing you the sweetest Christmas. We'll stamp that in shaded spruce. All right, next we're going to bring in a black ink pad. If you guys have followed me, you know how much I love my homemade black ink pad. We're going to use this other piece. Let's bring in the jar outline. All right, we've got our little jar outline. I will stamp that right there. I've got just a little scrap. Guys, I got to be honest, I pulled it out of my trash, but we're going to stamp the lid. Now we'll bring in a pecan pie ink pad so we can stamp our ginger cookies. A good ginger stamp. Can't beat that, right? So I'm going to ink that in the pecan pie. We're going to add this to the inside of our jar. Now we're going to bring in some detail with the cherry cobbler ink pad. I love this. It's a great 2-step stamp and we get some beautiful color. Now with this one, what's kind of nice, like I can see the bow tie and I can see the gumdrop buttons. And I kind of use that to line things up. And so when I stamp, I get just a really great little outline of the image. Very sweet. We will bring in our builder punch. We are going to punch out the jar and our lid. All right, so great way to use up some scraps. Here we go. We are going to add our greeting to the front of our box. We are going to add our stamped lid to our jar. I've added some Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of that. And friends, this is simply going to adhere right onto the front. Oh my gosh. Let's add just a simple little ribbon to this one, just some baker's twine. With it being just kind of a smaller image, a bigger bow would kind of overpower. I'm going to take a mini glue dot and I'm just going to add it here. I've rolled it up into a little ball because my baker's twine has a very thin little knot in the middle. And we'll add that right there. And friends, you've seen all the great ways you can fill this. Let's just kind of show these off. I mean, just so cute. These are great little stocking stuffers. As my mom always said, it's really nice when you can come up with a stocking stuffer that kind of fills up the stocking. So I think these little boxes are sure to be a hit with your kids, your grandkids, even your coworkers and neighbors. Thank you, my friends, for joining me. If you liked the video, I would love a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, take a minute to click the subscribe button, ring the bell. YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with another video. And be sure to check out the membership. Click the join button and read all about the amazing perks I have for my YouTube members. Friends, thank you again for being here. I hope you were inspired today. Until next time, bye-bye.